Did you get everything you wanted for Christmas? What Christmas movie did you watch this year? What recent movie would you consider a new holiday classic? Let's talk about these questions and more on
Backlit Cinema, the podcast.
Happy Holidays. My name is Zoe. It's spelled Z-O or Z to the O for those of you outside of the U.S. Welcome back to Backlit Cinema, the podcast, where we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear, especially the movies of the latter half of the last millennium. If you like what you're about to hear, tell your family, tell your friends, and tell old Jolly St. Nick about Backlit Cinema. Now, I usually talk about the movies of the last millennium, but this time we're going to do a little something different. By the way, how is your holiday? It still feels like holiday season. Christmas trees are still up, menorahs have yet to be put away, and Kwanzaa candles are still burning. So while I did say that I wanted to talk about the Running Man movies, I found it's not quite right. It's not quite the right time right now. Plus, in spite of having lots of time around the Christmas season, I still hadn't finished scripting that episode. And one of the main reasons was that this Christmas, I was probably doing too much. I made Christmas dinner I like to call Revenge Thanksgiving because I didn't go home for Thanksgiving, and I missed all the traditional Thanksgiving food. I missed the turkey and the stuffing and all that kind of stuff. So I figured I was going to go home this Christmas and I was going to make up for that. So I went home and I baked a turkey. I made mac and cheese for the first time. I made stuffing for the first time. I had steamed vegetables and I baked a cake, and there was some more food, and it was delightful, and I had a great time. And it took up to 3 days to get all that together. My mom helped me to go shopping for all the food that I needed. And I needed a lot of food to put this together. I needed a lot of ingredients, and it was intensive work cooking all of the food, but I got it done. I had a little bit of help, but I did most of it myself. And the next day I was like wiped out. The Boxing Day, as some people call it, I was unwilling to do any type of work, including watching television. It's like if there was anything that required me to get out of my bed, I was unwilling to do it. And so that was one of the reasons that I didn't finish the Running Man episode. I mean, I could have done it that day and I didn't do it. And also I figured, well, I'll do it the next day, but then my work schedule changed and ended up going back to work a day earlier than I intended. So that wiped out any possibility of doing that episode. And then when I kept thinking about it, I was like, I really don't think it's the right time to put that episode out anyway. And one of the reasons is that while I was home, I watched a bunch of Christmas movies, and this season was the most Christmas movies I've ever watched in a single season. It was crazy. 'Cause I don't know, it seems like I don't watch a lot of Christmas movies. If I'll probably like squeeze one in per year, but this year I watched like 4 Christmas movies. So earlier on, I watched Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the movie and the cartoon. And actually, we talked about that last episode and my thoughts and feelings on that movie. And that was still think about that as a fantastic movie and an actual Christmas classic. And then on Christmas Day, with some friends, I watched like 3 Christmas movies in a row. I actually watched more movies. I snuck in Fantastic Four. Well, it's Fantastic Four First Steps to clarify. But after that, we watched, not in this order, but we watched Home Alone, A Christmas, and A Christmas Story. And those are 2 of my favorite movies. And also, I wanted to try a new movie, a movie that I've been itching to watch for a long time, ever since it came out in 2022. And that movie is called Violent Night. It stars David Harbour, as Santa Claus, John Leguizamo as Scrooge, Leah Bradly as Trudy. It was directed by Tommy Wikorla, and it was written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller. And it had a great cast. There was a lot of people that, well, some people that I recognized. Now, I didn't recognize everybody. There were some people that I recognized, but everybody did a fantastic job, and it's acting wise. And I really enjoyed what I saw. It's like I'm getting ahead of the game. Maybe I should have talked about the movie before I started gushing over it, but I couldn't help it. I was eager to watch this movie for a long time, and this movie actually met my expectations, because in the trailer, it's basically you see Santa Claus beating up people. And I was like, why haven't they not done this movie before? Maybe they have and I missed it. Or maybe it was like a B movie that really didn't do so well. And this feels like a B movie, and I'm okay with that because it was very entertaining. And it's like they had me at David Harbour as Santa Claus. That's where I was at. I was like, I've got to see this movie. He's like, I've never watched Stranger Things, and I hear his name come up a lot of times when referencing this particular actor. But it seems like every time I see him, I am delighted. So one of my favorite roles that he has done is as Red Guardian in the Marvel movies. He's just fun as that character in the movie. He fits. And I think I want to watch him as Hellboy. I think I would probably enjoy that because I know that he's done a Hellboy movie. So the way this movie is structured, and I'm going to talk about Violent Night, and I want to talk about I'm going to give you my impressions of it, and I'm going to give you some spoilers. I'm going to spoil this movie because this movie is like 3 years old. It's been out for a while. And I'm not going to do any heavy spoilers, but a lot of the things that I am going to talk about is going to fall into spoiler territory. And I know this is a very different format, a very different film, but this still being in a Christmas season, Christmas trees are still up. I'm recording this is not yet New Year, but by the time you hear this, it probably will be. And I just felt like this is a jolly movie to get into. So Santa in this movie is just some dude. I mean, he's still magical. He's still immortal. He's still got flying reindeer. He's still bringing presents to the good kids. And he's even got coal for the naughty kids. But he has the same demeanor as a burnt out mall Santa. You know, the guy just worked like 18 hours and he's ready to call it a night. And he's at that stage where he's just real tired and a little bit downtrodden. And so we open on Santa, or the first time we see Santa, he's at a bar, having a drink, and he's having a conversation with this other guy who's playing Santa. And the real Santa is at a point where he's thinking about quitting. And he actually gets encouragement from this regular guy. And I don't know if this guy's a mall Santa or he's an actor that's playing Santa in a film or whatever. But the guy's offering the real Santa Claus some encouragement. And nobody at the bar knows that this is the real Santa Claus because he doesn't have the demeanor. Well, first of all, everybody believes that Santa Claus is a fictional character. And this version of the real Santa does not have the demeanor that people expect Santa Claus to have. He's not overly overweight. He's not laughing and cheering, and he's not, being ho 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 and laughing and whatnot. He's has that demeanor of a downtrodden person. And he's drinking alcohol. And at the same time, when he goes about delivering presents, he's also eating the milk and cookies that have been left for him. And I am not certain that milk, cookies, and alcohol is a good combination for the Constitution. And at least for his Constitution, because when he leaves the bar on his reindeer, he starts throwing up because I don't know, I guess because of the combination of all of these concoctions that he's consuming. And one of the things that got this Santa down is that he's kind of upset about the consumerism. It's like it feels like nobody's celebrating like the magic of Christmas or have that belief in Christmas. Like he'll go into a house and he'll see like presents under the tree, and the presents haven't even been wrapped, just Amazon boxes under the tree. It's like no wonder left in the world. And he's like wondering if it's even worth it. And on his travels, he happens upon the mansion of a wealthy family. And he didn't realize it, but that mansion was in the process of being robbed by some very bad people. And they infiltrated the house as the waitstaff for the party for this rich family. And like, even, I'm not exactly sure if it happened, like they actually killed a couple of people before, before they actually started robbing the house. But before Santa get there and when Santa arrives, they're quietly killing like the real wait staff or the real service people who work for that family. Just start killing everybody until only the members of the family are left alive. And the leader of this group is John Leguizamo, who I was surprised to see. I didn't realize he was in this movie. I watched this movie to see David Harbour, and John Leguizamo was just like a bonus character. As a bonus actor, I was glad to see him. And he plays a very significant role. He's the main bad guy. And his not Grinch, but Scrooge is not his real name. It's the name he has chosen. All of the robbers have code names that are based in Christmas. And John's character chose the name Scrooge. And Santa's at this mansion, and he's supposed to be delivering this gift to this one little girl that's at this mansion. Her name is Trudy, and it's played by Leah Bradly. And she's a cute little actress. She did a fantastic job. I know that it must be hard finding talented children actors, but she did a magnificent job in this role. And when Santa's looking around, he sees signs that Trudy still believes in the magic. Like when he finds the Santa Claus cookie, he could tell that, or the cookies that represent him, because they made gingerbread cookies, and one of the cookies is shaped like a Santa Claus. He could tell they were made by children, and he could tell that this is a child who still believed in Santa Claus. And this like gives him a little bit of encouragement, because he's not seeing a lot of that in his travels. And as he lingers in the house, he starts to see the gunfire and the violence. And his first instinct is to run away. And because he's like a regular guy, right? So the first thing he tries to do is he tries to go up the chimney, and he does the legendary thing that Santa Claus is supposed to do. Like when we've seen depictions of Santa Claus, there's a lot of different things that these different versions of Santa does to go up and down the chimney. It's like going through the chimney is almost always the main mode that Santa uses to get in and out of the house. And in this version, what Santa does is that he thumbs his nose, and that enables him to transport up and down the chimney. But when all of this violence is going on in this house, he's trying to thumb his nose to go up the chimney to get out of the house, but it's not working. He's stuck. You can see the sparks coming off of his nose, the magical sparks, but he's not going through the chimney. It's not working. And he gets attacked by the gunmen. And obviously they don't believe in Santa Claus. They think he's just a regular guy. And he ends up like, it's an isolated room. Like one of the bad guys just so happens to be searching the house to see, or clearing the house to see if there's any other help or family members around. And he happens to see Santa Claus, and they get into a fight. They get into a struggle. Santa Claus is almost killed, but he manages to kill the gunman. And when you watch it, it looks like Santa Claus has some serious skill. He doesn't want to fight. He's trying to get away. He's afraid for his life. But at the same time, he has some fighting skills. And he's actually able to kill the gunman who's trying to kill him. And then he's still trying to get away. And as I said, he responds like a regular guy. He's not trying to engage with these gunmen. He's trying to get away. It's like, as far as he's concerned, is not his problem. but at the same time, he's surprisingly adept at dispatching the bad guys. And so the action and the violence are very satisfying in this film. And as you watch it, you realize that it's a lot like Die Hard, but instead of John McClane, it's Santa Claus. It's the actual Santa Claus that are fighting these bad guys. And in spite of being in fear, being cut and being shot, Santa takes on the bad guys one by one. He's like going around the house and he's killing the bad guys because he can't get away. And he doesn't want to use the guns. And he's basically, when he's faced with an armed gunman, he just fights him hand to hand. But eventually, we learned that before he was Santa, he was an ancient warrior. And his favorite weapon was a warhammer that he called Skull Crusher. And eventually he finds a sledgehammer, and it's a lot like his warhammer that he used to use. And he becomes a more efficient defender of this family. Now he's beating up the bad guys with this giant sledgehammer. And what's great about it is like he's very good at fighting. It's like he's very adept at using this hammer. And it's just fun. It's just fun to watch. The fight choreography was very entertaining. It was delightful, actually. Another thing that's very similar to Die Hard is that the bad guys are exceptional thieves who've come to steal something like $3 million in cash that the family has stored in the vault. So it's similar, except they're not there like in Die Hard. The adversaries are there. They're pretending to do one thing, but what they're actually doing is stealing. But in this movie, the bad guys are going straight for the stealing. They're not doing, well, the killing and the stealing. They're doing anything else. They're not doing any kind of subterfuge. They're just there to steal the money. And then there's a kind of relationship between the main bad guy and like the matriarch of the house. There's a woman in the house who's like the grandmother, who basically controls the family fortune and controls her children through that fortune. And the bad guy I can't remember the relationship, but he knows everything about the family. And that's what allowed him to infiltrate the family to allow this robbery. Also, there are some entertaining homages to Home Alone as Trudy gets into the action and she sets up booby traps for the invaders, except this would be a version of Home Alone where Kevin kills the home intruders. Like she sets up deadly traps. Like actually, when you watch Home Alone, a lot of the things that happen to the housebreakers in that movie would have probably killed them, or at the very least had them hospitalized. Like when Joe Pesci is walking up the stairs and he slips on the ice and he falls down. I would have stopped. That would have been enough for me. Fall down and hit your head. Yeah. And then Joe Pesci in that movie fell down twice and hit his head twice on the ground. It's like that should have killed him, but somehow it didn't. Or like when the other dude, he got hit with a bowling ball. That should have stopped him, and it should have been enough to at least incapacitate him, but it didn't. But in this movie, in Violent Night, that the traps that Trudy had set for these invaders, they were more than effective. They were more than adequate to end them, and that's what happened in this movie. And it was great. There was a lot that I liked about this movie. A lot of the action. It was also heartwarming. It had a lot of gross humor. It was a very creative origin of Santa Claus, even though there is not much is revealed about him, only that he was an ancient warrior. There was a little bit of flashbacks. And then there was a portion of the movie where he shares all of the names that he's had throughout his long life. The final conclusion of the movie, where the main adversary, John Leguizamo, was dispatched, was fun and creative and disgusting at the same time. and I really enjoyed that. And then it centers around magic and belief, or the magic of belief. So there's an underlying theme of that in this movie. So it's great. When I was done with the movie, I had a friend there, or a few friends there. So one of my friends, they said that the first part was really boring, but she really liked the second half of the movie. I happen to like the whole movie. I declared it a new Hollywood classic. I declared it right then and there. This is definitely a movie that I will start watching in Christmas rotation. And I think that it pairs well with Home Alone or Christmas Story, even though A Christmas Story is not necessarily that violent, but it is a lot of fun. And as I mentioned that I watched A Christmas Story that night, and I was inspired to watch it this. I mean, if any movie I watch on Christmas, it's going to be A Christmas Story. I love that movie. I watched it so many times. And I think it's probably the second most watched movie, or second movie that I have most watched during my life. And I was able to get a miniature version of the leg lamp, the fragile leg lamp that was featured in that movie. Or as the father says, fragile. It must be Italian. So I think I watched the movie this Christmas just because I had just gotten a leg lamp. And what's funny was that I was watching this movie on Hulu this year. And when they got to the scene where the mother destroys the leg lamp, they actually, so I happen to have Hulu with commercials. And the funny thing about Hulu is commercials is that they have a commercial break at the most aggravating times. So just before she knocks over the lamp, or just after it, like right around that, the breakage of the lamp, they break for commercial. And I was like, that's diabolical. You would have a commercial break right here, like right before the father reacts to the sound of the broken lamp, is where you go for commercial. That's wrong on so many levels. But that was my experience watching A Christmas Story at home. All that to say is, I'm hoping that you've had a great holiday season. I appreciate you for listening. It warms my heart to know that the work that I do here, reminiscing about our favorite films, brings a little value to your life. I'm doing this for the 20-year-old woman whose father made her watch Gremlins when she was way too young. The Gen Z guy whose love for Star Wars started with their mom. The millennial lady who remembered fondly watching Waiting to Exhale. Or the old man from Generation X who found a new appreciation for The Last Dragon. When you're feeling nostalgic and you think about one of your favorite films, just come back to Backlook Cinema, the podcast, and we could talk about it together. If you got some comments, you can hit me up at www.backlookcinema.com, or you can email me at fanmail@backlookcinema. Be safe, share a good movie with your family and friends, and if you're going to be anything, be outstanding.